Okay, so this one came out of nowhere yesterday. Rockstar Games has announced that, forget GTA 6. That's still not been announced for PC, but GTA 5, or rather an enhanced version of it, has been. And it looks as though several of the enhancements made for the console versions of the game are finally making their way to the PC version. Some interesting stuff here, right, Alex? But first of all, before we discuss it, we have this supporter question, which actually gave me a bit of a chuckle. Let's have a look at it. It looks like GTA 5 is finally getting a PC update, exclamation point. This is from Evan, by the way. What do you make of the PC update coming so many years after the update for the current gen consoles? Does this mean Rockstar may be starting to take PC more seriously? And it was that second question that made me laugh because nope. It's always the case that the PC stuff arrives, as and when Rockstar feels it should arrive, which is invariably years after it arrives on consoles. But Alex, take it away.
Yeah, this is interestingly also a free update to GTA 5, bringing it over to the latest APIs, even using things like direct storage. I covered this 2 years ago, I believe, looking primarily at the PlayStation 5 version, if I recall,
right,
of the game, running there and comparing it to the PC and the PS4 version. And there they brought ray traced shadows at the time, modern TAA, which I thought was a big benefit to the game's visuals. And then later on, they also updated it in a video that Oliver did, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
They added in ray traced reflections, which mixed with the interesting use of like real-time cube maps and render to texture stuff that they did. But here for PC, they are going up and over, and they're adding in ray traced global illumination, as they call it, and ray traced ambient occlusion. Now, based on the combination of those two effects. So in real life, you don't need ambient occlusion, right? Like RTGI, like the concept of light bouncing around should also create shadows by virtue of light bouncing around. So that makes me think RTAO is added in here because whatever they're using for RTGI isn't necessarily per pixel to give you good, like small contact shadows with things. So they need a RTAO. And we've seen this before in games like The Witcher 3's next gen version, where they used probe-based RTGI, and to make the things actually connect with the ground and have shadows, they used RTAO there as well too. So that's what I imagine this is going to be doing. They did bring out some specs as well too. It's not like ray tracing is being forced upon you. You can turn it off because the minimum specs for PC for the GPU side of things are just like older GTX GPUs that are still supported by NVIDIA, and also on the AMD side of things. The recommended specs as well too were nothing too intense, pretty old CPUs there, 8 gigabyte GPUs for whatever this recommended setting is. I presume it's going to be with everything cranked, because let's not forget GTA 5 is a pretty old game. It scaled high on PC back in the day, but now it's looking its age. And I think stuff like RTGI, especially with this open world time of day, it's really going to do a lot for the visuals, which probably the lighting is the last thing in the game that I'd say really needs updating. And this will look great. I'm excited. There's a lot going on right now. I'm trying to cover so much. I want to cover this, obviously. And I think comparing it to the original version, presuming the EXE is still there, I think it's going to be a different EXE that you can launch based upon the kind of wording in there. I don't think it's just going to replace the game wholesale. But I would love to compare it to that, as well as just show what the GI and RTAO add over what you can get in the console version. Mm-hmm. And that all sounds good to me. Yeah, wow. But it's 2 years later. It's 2 years later. Like, oh my gosh. Rockstar is so strange with PC releases. Technically, this could be the best version of the game, like we saw back in the day with GTA 5.
Right.
Like when that came out, like it was the best version of the game, came out pretty late. Same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2, came out late, but I honestly thought it was way better in a lot of ways than what we got on console. But man, why they take so long. I don't know, John. What do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, I'm excited that they're continuing to support the game after all this time. I mean, you got to hand it off to them for supporting this game for such a long time, though that's obviously going to be due to Grand Theft Auto Online's popularity. But one of the things that I was curious about, and what I want to see with the ray tracing implementation, is how they still have ambient occlusion, shadows, and GI and everything all separated out into separate RT effects, where I feel like when done at its best, they should all kind of work in tandem together without being separate things. So I'm curious just how far they're going to go and what this is going to be based on specifically. Like, how are they going to do RTGI, essentially, is what I'm wondering. And I'd be curious to know what it looks like on the back end in terms of how they've been able to evolve this engine, because this is effectively a PlayStation 3 era game. And they've really kept it up to date. I actually replayed a big chunk of the campaign recently on the consoles when I was covering I guess it was the GTA 3 and Dreamcast port. I kind of got the itch for Grand Theft Auto, and I was kind of amazed at how good the game still looks. Have you played it anytime recently? Like the amount of detail.
Last 2 years
right?
ago.
Like the amount of detail in the scenes is still like staggeringly great. Like it's you can really see where that money went. So, but I agree with you. The lighting is kind of the last aspect that still feels somewhat dated. That and perhaps character models. I mean, they're artistically well done, but they certainly look of that older generation, right? So I know this morning I instantly started looking around like, wait, how much does it cost on PC right now? So I never actually bought it on the PC. So, and of course on Steam, it's $30.
It's also like one of those Rockstar social club games.
Oh no, it has the launcher. Oh, I forgot about that.
I believe it does. I mean, that's the last time I loaded up it was. And that was a pain too. Because, you may have your Steam ID, but I couldn't remember anything about what my login was or my password was for the Rockstar Social Club. So that was
Rockstar Social Club.
The concept of launchers within launchers is something which Skynet needs to send back a Terminator through time to stop.
Launchception.
Whoever came up with that first idea, that's just got to be nipped in the bud.
I can't even remember who did it first.
Thinking about this, I was thinking about your video, Alex, of the PC version, the high end as it was at the time versus the revised console versions. And the console version still didn't quite meet the highest end that the PC could do in some settings. I think it was like a level of detail or something, if memory serves. But the concept that you're getting all of that, plus you're getting the ray tracing effects, plus you're getting new ray tracing effects. Do you think that the GI, for example, I mean, there's been some considerable resource put into that, which isn't going to be happening on the console versions. Do you think there's maybe some kind of back port from a newer version of Rage that they've implemented here?
I mean, I don't know. It's like, I kind of want to say this maybe was prototyping research for getting what they eventually did into their latest version of their engine. Like they wanted to see, okay, what do ray trace shadows look like? What does denoising look like? What is all these things? And they maybe start prototyping it in an older version of the engine, and then worked on maybe even visually different versions of it based upon that prototyping. Because what we saw in the trailer for GTA 6 looked a lot more per pixel. On the GI side of things. I specifically remember, I don't remember the name of the main character. It's the woman when she's like, there, and she's got like the prison outfit on, and it appears to be a prison outfit. And you can see like the orange bounce of the light from that outfit on the bottom of her face.
Isn't it Lucia or something?
That sounds right. Sure, let's just say that. And I remember that. And based upon the wording here, I would be surprised if it was per pixel. If it was, it would be like a radically different looking game. But I don't know. And there isn't really any good media with it too. The screenshots that they have there are not exactly the ones I would have chosen.
The other thing I'm curious about is if they allow already existing ray tracing features to be scaled further. on the console, for instance, when you're using ray traced reflections, there is a very sharp distance cutoff on the BVH where it returns to RTT based reflections. And I actually did find that rather distracting when driving around the city, because you have these glass buildings, and the way the RTT works makes the reflections look often rather awkward and just sort of stretching and moving unnaturally. And you kind of feel that cutoff point between where it toggles over to the ray traced reflections. So if on PC we were able to extend that out, it would drastically improve the visuals, I think. That's also something we don't know about, because as Rich just noted, other settings already could still scale higher before this patch on PC. So
yeah, I guess that's all stuff we'll figure out when the game comes. I would also like to see that, John. I didn't even think about that at the moment. That would be great. The Spider-Man games give you that like slider of, I like that slider. Not a lot of other games have done that. That would be really good to see. Yeah, but it's so interesting if it is actually like them putting this hardcore technology into that game years later on PC and on console. It's like them investing into something which primarily maybe didn't even require that much investment. I guess it's just another thing that they want to put money into because they want people to keep playing GTA Online until GTA 6 Online comes out, because it's such a cash cow.
I feel like GTA 6 Online is very likely just to be an extension of GTA Online as it is now, right? It wouldn't make sense to restart it necessarily, because they have so much invested in this. So I mean, obviously we have no idea how they're going to continue it, but also there was that recent report this week about them investigating a Roblox-like experience.
Oh no!
Not in the sense that it's actually like, oh yeah, this is Roblox. It's embracing what's good about Roblox, which is essentially allowing creators to build things for it, where they give you the interface, the quote unquote mod tools, everything necessary to create your own content, which actually does seem like a logical next step for GTA's online presence.
Right. Probably is, yeah.
I was just looking at some of the other spec points or other technical enhancements. I was thinking AMD FSR1 support. And then I was thinking to myself, well, actually, it is a game that scales across like decades worth of technologies at this point. So why not? FSR3 should give us a good through path to FSR4 support for the latest AMD GPUs. Might even be in there from day one for all we know. DLSS3, I guess that's a good thing to have, or obviously, if you're dealing with ray tracing, any form of acceleration, reconstruction, temporal or spatial is good. I think this looks good. The faster loading times, obviously, that's been a bit of a bugbear with Grand Theft Auto for quite some time. Direct storage, I guess it won't really be happening in game, just for loading.
Yeah.
There's not really much point of that, so I'm less concerned about that based on versus what we've seen elsewhere with direct storage recently. So, I'd say it's looking pretty good. Enhanced support for higher resolutions, higher aspect ratios, and higher frame rates.
Rich, you missed the most important new feature for the PC version, and I quote, PC players can now sign up for the GTA Plus membership to get special benefits in the updated version of GTA Online and beyond. Right, exclusively
and
for
beyond.
PC owners.
Sign up today.
Maybe.
Moving on, that spec lineup that we got there seems to be missing out on like everything maxed out. I mean, I'd be very surprised if an 8 gig 3060 is running all of those ray traced effects in town.
Oh, the 8 gig version of the 3060.
Specifically.
That card that everyone loved.
Yeah. That's. But overall, we'll look forward to seeing it, and obviously the ray tracing stuff in there could be quite interesting to check out.